Okay, hello, Lead STEM Academy Navigator parents. Welcome to our September cast off with the counselors. My name is Todd Sear. I'm the eighth grade counselor, and this is our monthly information session that we present to you, the parents. This is important information that we in the counseling office think you should have. As I said, we put these out about once a month. These are for you to view at your convenience. That's why we record them ahead of time. And then following the presentation, we have a live Q&A on a later date, and you can sign up for that Q&A, and we can answer any questions live that may stem from the cast-off presentation. So I'll give you the date for the Q&A at the end. But I want to start off by welcoming our sixth grade parents. If this is your first child to attend Lead STEM Academy, welcome. We're thrilled to have you as a Navigator parent. If you are a returning parent, we're of course thrilled to have you also. So let's get started. First of all, introductions. So the counseling staff consists of three of us. We are divided by grade level. The sixth grade counselor is Mrs. Murray, and you can see her contact information on the screen right now. The seventh grade counselor is Mrs. Sims, and you can see her contact information on the screen. And I am the eighth grade counselor, and my contact information is at the bottom. Now, I want you to know that we rotate with our students. So if your child has Mrs. Murray this year, they're going to have Mrs. Murray for the rest of their time at Lead STEM Academy. If your child has Mrs. Sims this year, they will have Mrs. Sims next year for their final year at Lead STEM Academy. And if your child is one of mine, obviously they're going to have a high school counselor next year. So I get the sixth graders next year, and uh, that's how we work it here at Lead. Um, okay, I want to introduce you to somebody very special. This is our new safe school professional. We are so psyched to have him with us. His name is Tyrell Tarboro. He goes by Mr. T or Coach T. He's absolutely amazing. I've seen this man work, and he's a miracle worker. And we're so lucky to have him. He works very closely with us. We work hand in hand with each other, the counselors and Mr. Tarboro. We're basically part of the same team. Mr. Tarboro is basically a social worker. He's not a complete social worker, but he functions as a social worker. He will get his social working degree this year. But basically, he does what we do without the scheduling and without the grade consultation. Mr. Tarboro is here to focus on personal and social issues that students are facing. And like I said, he's amazing. So, if you're interested in having your child speak to Coach T, just let us know, and we'll be happy to send the child his way, and he'll be happy to speak to your child. So, wanted to let you know our newest member. Okay, so what are we discussing today? I got 6 topics I want to cover with you. First, we'll talk a little bit about nav time. Then I will talk to you about panorama surveys. Um, we will review STEM Tank. Then I will talk about how to communicate, how the students communicate with teachers, how teachers communicate with students and parents. Um, I will then tell you about the Student Support Services Department here at LEAD and who's in it, what we do. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with some dates to remember. Okay, so let's get started. Nav time. Um, those of you who have had students at LEAD, who have, students that have come through LEAD as a STEM academy, you know what nav time's all about. This might be just for our sixth grade parents, but anyway, it's good to get a refresher. So this is one of the unique things about LEAD STEM Academy is we have what's called nav time. Nav time is a period during lunchtime when students get to choose an activity that they enjoy. We have Star Wars clubs. We have a Lord of the Rings club. I know Mr. Bacayao just started a Lord of the Rings club. Um, there are clubs where kids can play games on their phones. There are clubs where kids can just sit and chill. There are clubs when kids can talk about books or movies. Um, and yeah, I said clubs. It's basically nav time activity is basically a club, but it doesn't take place after school. It takes place during lunch. So we refer to lunchtime as nav time at Lead STEM Academy. That's one of the things that makes us different from your traditional uh, middle school. Um, the nap time lunch period takes place from 11:11 to 12:12, as you can see um, on the screen there. So we have two lunch periods. We have a first lunch and a second lunch. Okay. Students are encouraged to sign up for a nav time for one of those lunch periods. Okay. So if a student chooses a nav time for the what we call first nav, which is the first lunch period, let's say, then they will go to second lunch. Okay, so if they sign up for first nav time, um, they will attend that nav time from about 11:11 to about 11:41. Okay, half an hour, 11:41. So from 11:11 to 11:41, they're doing their nav time. Let's say they picked mindful relaxation. Okay. At 11:41, they are dismissed to lunch. So then they will take themselves to the cafeteria and they will have their lunch. All right. The opposite could be true. We could have a student who wants to go to first lunch and then they can sign up for second nav time. So first lunch, they'll be in there from 11:11 to 11:41. They'll have their lunch. And then at 11:41, they will be dismissed to their nav time. And they'll have that nav time from about 11:45, I believe it is, to 12:12. Okay. And then following that, they go to either period 5 or period 6, depending on which day we have. Um, so students are expected to choose a nap time and a lunch, which means basically they get to pick their own lunches. Okay, that's another thing that makes us different. Is students are not assigned lunches; they choose their own lunch. So if they're going to first nav, they know they're going to have second lunch. If they're going to second nav, they know they're going to have first lunch. Um, we do have students that choose two nap times, and that's totally fine. As long as they can get a bite to eat in there, their teachers let them eat in their classrooms, that's totally fine. What they cannot do is have two lunches. And yeah, it happens. And yes, we are cracking down on it in the cafeteria. So if you talk to your child and he or she says, "Oh yeah, I went to lunch twice today," that's no bueno. That's not allowed at lead. You have to pick a nav time. Um, we ask them to attend the nav time that they sign up for. I mean, we have students who sign up for a nav time and don't go because their friends say, "Oh, you should go to this one instead." And then they show up and the teachers have no record that this student's supposed to be there. And that's confusing for everybody. And it's also frustrating for the teachers because they're trying to keep track of where everybody is on campus, trying to keep track of where the kids are going in nav time. So please, when you talk to your child, tell your child, make sure you're going to the nav time you sign up for. A little bit more about nav time. The students use an app that's on their Chromebook. It's called All Timely. And that is where they choose their nav times. They log into All Timely. They can log in through Clever on their Chromebooks. They should know how to use Clever. It's the same login information as they use to get into their Chromebooks. So ask your child if he or she can show you. Um, as I said, they choose a nav time activity, and the other period will be their lunch. Um, the thing about nav time is it's the same activity for the entire week. So they cannot pick one activity on Monday and then a different one on Tuesday and then a different one on Wednesday. No, they need to attend the same nav time for the whole week. Um, when can they start signing up for nap times? That's on Sundays. On Sundays, the All Timely app is opened up and teachers post their activities for the week. So, Sunday night, please make sure your child is signing up for a nap time activity. Make that a weekly routine. If they're not picking an activity, they need to go to the hub, which is our library. They go to first lunch and then they go to the hub. And we're trying to cut down on the amount of students who are not choosing a nav time activity because we can't account for them on campus. Okay, so that's nav time. I know it's a lot, um, but that's it in a nutshell. All right, let's talk about panorama surveys. So these are ongoing. There's one more group that needs to complete the panorama surveys, and that's my group, the eighth graders. Sixth graders are done. Seventh graders are, if they're not complete, they're finishing up, and then the eighth graders are next. So what are we talking about? Well, these are surveys that are given by the school district. I know the fifth graders last year took them. So it's not new. These are not new to our students. But anyway, it's a mental health survey, basically. It's mandated by the district. They're given in either their English class, I think this time around it's English. Basically, the kids are asked questions, do you feel like you belong on campus? Do you feel like you are respected? Do you have are there people you can trust on campus? So there's basically a social emotional question to find out how are they doing because they don't always reach out to us, and we learned that during the pandemic. How do we use these panorama surveys? Well, we the counselors and the the team that works with the panorama surveys, we're called the Lifeline team. Um, we can identify students who need more personal attention. Okay, they need an adult to reach out to them. Maybe they don't know how to get in touch with the counselor. Maybe they're nervous. Maybe they just haven't thought about talking to a counselor. This is a good way for us to discover who they are, so then we can get in touch with them, and of course, get in touch with you um, if it's a serious issue. How often are the panorama surveys given? 3 times a year. Once in the fall, once in the winter, and once in the spring. So we are completing the fall cycle. The winter cycle, I believe, takes place in December, and then spring, if I remember last year, April, I believe. So that'll give you an idea. So if your child comes home and says, "Oh, today in English, I just answered a bunch of questions about how I'm feeling," chances are that wasn't an English assignment. That was the panorama survey. And by the way, they're not graded and they're not shared with the staff. Only those of us that are on the team. So that's the counselors, Coach T, the administrators. They have access to the information. The rest of the staff does not. Okay, STEM Tank. I'm not going to read the statement. You can read it yourselves. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. But basically, for our new parents, STEM Tank is, if you've seen Shark Tank on TV, the competition where entrepreneurs must present their business ideas to a panel of professionals, and the professionals, pardon me, choose the products that they want to endorse and support, and the people that they want to hire or work with. We do something similarly. It's called STEM Tank. Basically, it's a science fair, is what it is. It's a science fair. Kids are given a topic and they create a project around that topic. So, big long explanation on the screen. I will sum it up for you like this. Uh, this semester's STEM Tank has to do with solving problems. So, you know, making things easier on people that are disabled, or animals or pets that are disabled, inventing new products that can help people in those situations. That's basically what your children are being tasked with. Okay. And it's a different theme every semester. So, a little bit more about STEM Tank. They are placed into groups. Well, they choose their groups. They choose the students that they want to work with. We just started this last year. Um, so, Tank Time happens every Wednesday. That's when the groups get together to work on their projects. It is a nav time, so it's the opposite of lunch. So About half of our groups go to first lunch and then they go to tank time, and the other half have tank time and then they go to second lunch. This is a required activity. This is not one that they can skip. Who's in charge of the STEM tank groups? Well, they have STEM tank mentors that they're assigned to. And the STEM tank mentors are basically the homeroom teachers. If you remember the first week of school, students reported to a homeroom. And they will continue, they will report to that homeroom again at the beginning of the second semester. Uh, but before I get ahead of myself, those homeroom teachers are their STEM tank mentors. So they're responsible for helping the kids, answering the questions, presenting the information to them. If your children have questions about STEM Tank, that's who they need to ask. Um, I get emails all the time from students. Can I move to a different group, or what about this assignment? I can't answer those. Unfortunately, none of us can in the counseling office. I direct students to their STEM Tank mentor. That's who's going to be able to answer the questions. Um, when is the final project due? Well, for the first semester, the final projects will be presented December 15th through the 17th. So basically, the campus is opened on those days, and the students get with their groups and they basically set up their presentation in a designated area, and you, the parents, are invited to come walk around, see your child's group's project, check out the other projects. It's a fun time, and it's a chance to see all the different ideas that the kids come up with. It's really special. So the 15th and the 16th, that's when all groups are presenting to all our visitors on campus. And then the 17th is when the finals take place. And basically, the kids watch the finals online in their classes. More information about that is forthcoming, but I wanted to give you an idea of what's ahead with STEM Tank. Now, understand, please, we do not have final exams at Lead STEM Academy. Instead, the students get graded on their STEM Tank projects. Okay. Our next topic is communication. Okay. So, how can the kids get in touch with their teachers? How can you get in touch with their teachers? How do the teachers get in touch with kids? Canvas is one of the answers. Okay. So, if students have a question about an assignment, they're encouraged to look on the teacher's Canvas page. All right. Teachers post they're supposed to post all their assignments on Canvas. That way, students have access to all of the assignments. Um, Teachers also put important like announcements, reminders on Canvas. It's basically how they communicate, aside from talking to the kids, it's how they communicate with their classes. Another important aspect of Canvas is teachers have designated nav times where they will work with kids. They'll give them extra help. They'll let them redo assignments, retake assessments, do test corrections, or just get some tutoring. Students, 9 times out of 10, they can sign up for those extra nav times through the teacher's Canvas page, or at least learn when that extra help nav time is, so then they can go on All Timely and sign up. So they're going to get that information off of Canvas. Now, you cannot see the teacher's Canvas pages unless you go through your children's accounts. Okay, they're not open to parents, they're open to the students. All right, so if you want to see what's on a Canvas page, have your child log in and then you can see what's up there. And the kids say all the time, well, Canvas says I have a B, so I'm going, I mean, my son does this too. Um, you know, Canvas says my grade in this class is B. Please, 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 please do not get your child's grades from Canvas. Infinite Campus is where you will get your child's grades. Canvas and Infinite Campus don't always talk to each other, so it can be a little confusing, a little muddled. To avoid the confusion, always go to Infinite Campus. Okay, another way that teachers communicate is through email. And of course, this is what we encourage our navigators to do. If they have a question for a teacher, email the teacher. If you're not comfortable asking the teacher outright, and many of them aren't, email, email the teacher. That's one of our expectations at lead. Again, that makes us a little different than your typical middle school. We want our students to start the communication with their teachers. If they have a question, email. If something's not clear, email. If they, want to request extra time on something, or they have a suggestion for an assignment, email. Okay, that's the number one way that we want our students to communicate with their teachers: email. It's not always convenient in the middle of class. Um, Email addresses for teachers can be found on their Canvas pages. Students should know how to get in touch with their teachers. They ask me all the time, and I say, look at your teacher's Canvas pages. If for some reason it's not on the teacher's Canvas page, you can also go to our website, which is leadstemacademy.tech. Click on the Contact Us link and go down to Staff Directory. If you follow those instructions, you will get pictures and names of all of our staff members. If you click on the picture, I believe it's a picture, it'll automatically generate an email to that staff member. I know I've received many emails over the years from parents in that manner. So that's a way that you can get into, and your child can get in touch with their teacher, but honestly, should be on Canvas. Okay. How about us? How do you get in touch with us? Well, we have our own Canvas pages. Um, they were set up at the second week of school, I believe. It was the second week of school that our Canvas pages were set up. These, teachers set up their own Canvas pages. Ours are set up by the administrators. All students have been invited to join those Canvas pages. So basically, if they're in our grade level, they got an invite. I know as of today, I think I have 15 students that haven't accepted the invite. That means they're missing really important information because we post important announcements on our Canvas pages. Me personally, my eighth grade parents, you know, I have high school visits coming up, and I want my students to be aware of these high school visits during nav time. Well, you're going to learn that through Canvas. You're going to look at my announcements on my Canvas page to see when is West Tech coming, when is A Tech coming. Get on Canvas. How do I sign up? Get on Canvas to get those answers. I have several parents who are observers on my Canvas pages, and that means that you can see what your child sees. All right. The best way to get in touch with us, with the counselors, is email. Honestly, yes, we have telephones. Yes, we have extensions. No, we can't always answer the phone because maybe we have a student in at the time in the office, and you wouldn't want us to stop your student talking so that we can answer the phone for somebody else. So we ask that you please email us. Um, if email is not available, of course we encourage phone calls, but it's easier for us to get back to you via email than it is a phone call. Um, the way that I described for you to get in touch with teachers through leadstemacademy.tech, you can also use that to get in touch with us. Get an automatically generated email to the counselors. If you do email us, please let us know who your child is. Okay? And that's how to get in touch with us. Student Support Services. In a nutshell, Student Support Services is the name for the department that consists of the three of us, Mrs. Murray, Mrs. Sims, and myself, and our new Safe School professional, Mr. Tarboro. We are the Student Support Services team. Now, other names you might want to know: Mr. Jackson, he's our Safe Schools instructional facilitator. Yeah, kind of like a dean. He's not the dean. The district doesn't have deans anymore, but that's basically what Mr. Jackson does. If you're familiar with the job of a dean, that's how Mr. Jackson functions. So he handles discipline issues, chiefly strictly discipline issues. When we get a discipline issue, we refer it to Mr. Jackson because we, the counselors, and Mr. Tarboro, we don't do discipline. Mr. Jackson has an assistant named Mr. Martell. He's the student success advocate. He helps out Mr. Jackson, so you may hear his name too. What do? We all work together to ensure the safety and well-being of our navigators. Okay, so we're all a team. We the support student support services. We work with Mr. Jackson and Mr. Martell, and he works with us. Okay, we are almost done, so I want to give you some dates to remember. Next Thursday, the 29th, I mentioned high school visits. These are only open at my eighth graders. West CTA is coming. West Career and Technical Academy is coming on the 29th. So it's a week from this Thursday. Students can sign up through All Timely. The 6th of October, seventh graders will have their hearing and vision screening. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to take place during one of the core classes. I'm not sure which. The following day, which is the 7th of October, that's the end of the first quarter. Okay. So grades for the first quarter will be finalized prior to the 7th. Your 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 children's teachers will probably tell them, I'm done taking work the week before October 7th, so that they have time to finalize grades. Remember, there are no more report cards. There's no such thing as a report card anymore in the district. You're not going to get something brought home by your kiddo. It's all through Infinite Campus. So you can log into Infinite Campus and check out your child's first quarter grades as of the 7th of October. The 11th, that's our next high school visit for the eighth graders. It's ATEC coming to see us on Tuesday, the 11th. And then that same week, the 14th, been getting a lot of questions about this from the kiddos. That's the day of our makeup pictures. Okay, pictures took place a couple weeks ago. The makeup day is going to be the 14th of October. That information, I'm sure, is forthcoming. I don't have any more to tell you beyond that. If you'd like to see dates for yourself, I invite you to go to leadstemacademy.tech and click on the calendar. It's about halfway down the screen on the right-hand side. There's a calendar, and you can see all the activities for the month. It's pretty much planned out for the rest of the year. Obviously, there's going to be new activities added, but that's a good way to stay on top of what's going on here at LEAD. Okay. Want to thank you for watching our first cast off with the counselors. I told you there's a Q&A. We're going to give you some time to watch this sucker. So on the 4th of October at 10 in the morning, we will have our very first Q&A, and it will touch upon, the questions that you have based on this presentation. The way to attend is to sign up on a Google form. Okay, that Google form is not ready yet. All right, we will get it to you as soon as it's ready. And then you can join us. It should be the three of us. Mrs. Murray is out for the month of September. We're hoping she's back by early October, but she has to follow doctor's orders. So she may not be back by the 4th of October. If not, it'll be myself, Mrs. Sims, and possibly Mr. Coach T. And then our next cast off with the counselors will be sent to you in October. I don't have a date on that one yet. I'm aiming for early October this time. Okay. So again, thank you so much for supporting us and supporting your child, being a part of the Lead STEM Academy community. We're thrilled to have you. We look forward to working with you and your children for the 2022-2023 school year. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.